tuning in. So, Universal Peace Federation has been operating here for many years now, since 2005. And even before that, actually, Margaret and I were here from 1996. So a long time we've been holding these kinds of events and programs. And each one, of course, is different, but there's a realm of prior organization and planning and systematic things. Then there's a realm of some kind of inspiration or unexpected things happening, which is great to see. And it's great to see old friends like Michelle, lovely to see you, and Nisa, nice to see you. Reverend Dr. Sumana Siri, who's known us since the 1980s, so a long time. So I'd like to start off, particularly because some of you are not so long time knowing UPF. So I'd like to show a video about UPF just to start us off, and also there'll be some people more who are coming. But I'd like to start off with an introduction to UPF. Okay.
UPF had its inaugural assembly on September 12, 2005 at the Lincoln Center in New York City. Reverend Sun Myung Moon delivered the keynote address.
In closing, I ask you to devote your best efforts for the development and the success of the Universal Peace Federation. Thank you. Thank you.
After UPF was founded, there was a series of world tours where the message of UPF was taken literally to every corner of the world.
That it is time for all nations and religions to break down their barriers. Through this, the era of one family under God will arrive and last forever.
UPF is God's cherished hope. The founders spoke repeatedly of an international peace highway connecting the world from Santiago, Chile to London, across the Bering Strait, what has come to be known as the Peace Road, and a vision for a renewed United Nations. UPF emerged on the foundation of decades of programs initiated by its founders and carried out in all parts of the world. Its growth and development over the past 15 years has been dramatic, if not miraculous, owing in large part to the work of tens of thousands of ambassadors for peace, peace activists, and volunteers who draw from all nationalities, religions, ethnicities, cultures, and traditions, bound together by a vision of peace, a vision of humanity as one global family under one God. The range of programs over the years has been both broad and expansive, from character education to strengthening the family, from conflict prevention to conflict resolution, from poverty reduction to environmental stewardship, from interfaith dialogue to youth service initiatives, from support of the United Nations to partnerships with the African Union, and a wide range of international organizations and NGOs. UPF has a global, multinational, multi-faith network of more than 100,000 ambassadors for peace who support and contribute to the mission and works of UPF. UPF's highest award, the Leadership and Good Governance Award, has been given to distinguished leaders the world over. The World Summit Series is UPF's flagship program involving the highest level of leaders from around the globe including current and former heads of state and government, to address the critical challenges facing humanity.
Very appropriate that we are here on the 100th anniversary of Reverend Moon's birth, because out of the devastation of World War II and the Korean War, he and his bride found the courage to dream that they could achieve something. And it is amazing what they have created together.
Programs have been successfully held in Korea, the USA, Senegal, South Africa, Nepal, Cambodia, and other nations. The most recent structural innovation within UPF has been the creation of a set of associations dedicated to collaboration among leaders from various fields. These pillar associations are: the International Summit Council for Peace was initiated by UPF co-founder Dr. Hak Jahan Moon in 2019 on the occasion of World Summit 2019 in Seoul, Korea. ISCP is an international network of current and former heads of state and government. The International Association of First Ladies, IAFLP, a project of the ISCP, affirms and uplifts the unique role of First Ladies in contributing to peace and development. IAFLP brings together current and former First Ladies from throughout the world, drawing upon their experience and wisdom as women leaders and as role models who serve their countries in significant ways. The International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace, IAPP, is a worldwide association of parliamentarians which provides a forum to bring their experience and wisdom to bear in the search for solutions to our world's problems. UPF maintains that any successful strategy for peace must take into account the spiritual dimension of our human identity, experience, and interactions. Based on this worldview, UPF initiated the Interreligious Association for Peace and Development, IAPD. The International Media Association for Peace, IMAP, represents a worldwide professional network of journalists who support a socially responsible and moral media. IMAP recognizes the vital role that journalists play in providing objective reporting to foster an informed citizenship. The International Association of Academicians for Peace, IAAP, is a global interdisciplinary academic initiative aimed at contributing toward the realization of a world of lasting peace. IAAP is dedicated to building professional networks for academicians to foster a world of peace. The International Association for Peace and Economic Development, IAED, affirms the role of businesses, business leaders, and investors to make the world a better place. In early 2020, UPF convened a Rally of Hope featuring dignitaries including Pastor Paula White, Cambodia Head of State His Excellency Hun Sen, President Macky Sall of Senegal, former Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper, former U.S. Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich, former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, and many others.
I believe that the Universal Peace Federation and its broad set of partnerships in the realms of politics, religion, academia, media, economy, arts, women and youth serve as a good model. I believe the Universal Peace Federation will become a cornerstone to build lasting peace around the world and the heavenly unified Korea based on interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universal values.
Celebrating 15 years, UPF will continue to grow through service, dialogue, and collaboration, guided by its spiritual and moral vision of one family under God.
Sorry, someone's calling me. I can't turn it off. I know the nature of a few of you here, and so I'm taking the liberty to read something. This is from Father Moon, and I think it will lay a good preparation for a discussion today. So, talking with the universe with the insects. This is from Father Moon's book, Peace-Loving Global Citizen. Spending time in the forest cleanses the mind. The sounds of the leaves rustling in the wind, the sound of the wind blowing through the reeds, the sound of frogs croaking in the ponds. All you can hear are the sounds of nature. No extraneous thoughts can enter the mind. If you empty your mind and receive nature into your entire being, there is no separation between you and nature. Nature comes into you, and you become completely one with nature. In the moment that the boundary between you and nature disappears, you feel a profound sense of joy. Then nature becomes you, and you nature. I've always treasured such experiences in my life. Even now, I close my eyes and enter a state in which I am one with nature. Some refer to this as an Atman or non-self, but to me it is more than that, because nature enters and settles into a place that has been made empty. While in that state, I listen to the sounds that nature hands to me, the sounds of the pine trees, the sounds of the bugs, and we become friends. I could go into a village and know without meeting anyone the disposition of the minds of the people living there. I would go into the fields of the village and spend the night there and listen to what the crops in the fields would tell me. I could see whether the crops were sad or happy, and that would tell me the kind of people who live there. You may ask, what do you talk about with bugs? Even the smallest grain of sand contains the principles of the world, and even the speck of dust floating in the air contains the harmony of the universe. Everything around us was given birth through a combination of forces so complex we cannot imagine it. These forces are closely related to each other. Nothing in the universe was conceived outside of the heart of God. The movement of just one leaf holds within it the breathing of the universe. From childhood, I've had the gift of being able to resonate with the sounds of nature as I roam the hills and meadows. Nature creates a single harmony and produces a sound that is magnificent and beautiful. No one tries to show off, and no one is ignored. There is just a supreme harmony. Whenever I found myself in difficulty, nature comforted me. Whenever I collapsed in despair, it raised me back up. And there is more, but I think you get a sense from that. And in a sense, I wanted to read that at the beginning when we're thinking about the environment, and you see that picture. And you can tell the huge gap of sensitivity. And we were talking just a moment ago about you can never solve a problem on the level of the consciousness that it was created. In a sense, we have to come up. And with that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker. And I know our two speakers today come from a mindset very much in conjunction with this. And I want to introduce Eliyah Ben Aaharon. Please forgive me if I don't pronounce this correctly. Has dedicated himself to an extensive research and eco-engineering projects in Africa, focusing on ecologically sustainable solutions. With a wealth of practical experience spanning over 50 years, Eliyah offers solution-oriented ideas to restore balance to our environment and our lives. And I know he also comes from a very spiritual background, which I'm sure he will introduce. Thank you very much. Please welcome Eliyah. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everybody. It's a divine pleasure. Microphone? Is that better? Okay. First, I'd like to give all honor and praises to the omnipotent, almighty, creative force, the dynamic force that created the universe and all of the diverse beings, plants, flora, stars that exist. And I'm going to use this word carefully. A God, or in Hebrew I would say, Yahweh, that actually could create itself. Not only it could create itself. Now that's an awesome thing. So I am thankful for the privilege of being here today. And my name, as you can see, Eliyah Ben Aaharon. And I'm a member of the African Hebrew Israelites of Jerusalem. We're based in Dimona, Israel. We have jurisdictions in many places in Africa, as well as United States and the Caribbean. And I think it's one or two people down in Australia. We've kind of moved around a bit. Anyway, this is an environmental day, or 2023, and it has a very, very important topic, something we need to be very concerned about, and it's plastics, plastic pollution. Now, most of us have participated in this, in moving around in groups, maybe picking up bits of garbage, plastic garbage along the streets, or we'll go into the trees in our parks or in our neighborhoods, the gutters, the waterways, to do this and take it out. But it continually comes back there. And we've got to go to the root cause. Why is plastic important? If they know plastic is not biodegradable, meaning that it can't naturally go back in a reasonable amount of time to be recycled into the earth where it can be used again. I mean, if you cut up some vegetables, you can take the clippings of the vegetables, take it and put it in the soil, and the worms will eat those vegetables along with some of the rocks and provide minerals for the nematodes and other bacteria and viruses and animal forms that exist in the ground to feed the roots of plants. Do you know that plants, the big trees, actually, when they grow, they have little trees down the bottom that can't get the sunlight. So they actually can take the chlorophyll, transfer it in sugar form through the roots for the little plants. So there's a connection. People working together, plants work together. But man, we are stubborn. And a lot of us, and when I say a lot, I should say a little, there's a minute group who deliberately will defy natural order and convince us that plastic is good. Years ago, I remember my father had his first car. When he wanted to change a light, he just had to take off a little piece of glass and put a new bulb in. If you break the light on your car now, you might have to put the whole fender on with it. All made of plastic. Your bowls in your house were wooden, calabash or something else. That's what you used. Now it's plastic. But do you know that most plastics, once they go past approximately about 75 degrees Fahrenheit, not Celsius, Fahrenheit. So that's like about 18 degrees Celsius or something like that. It allows the plastics to filter into your food. And I'll give you an understanding. How many of you have bought a plastic bottle with spring water in? Put your hands up. All right. Have you left it in the sun and been back to try and drink some? And it tastes like plastic. So I rest my case. They know this. Why would someone have so little regard for your health that they would place good drinking water into something that's going to hurt you? And you can read and see that it has carcinogenic properties, properties that provide and kill you, that destroy your organs and give you cancer in all of its forms. Can I blame? Why does, listen to this term carefully now, plants. You buy plant food when you go into the shop, carrots, broccoli, all of those things. Apples. They put plastic on your apples to make them shine. They got genes and stuff they put on your tomatoes to make them look good. If you ever grow some of those things. In fact, I like coconuts, fresh coconuts. Do you know how I tell when a coconut's good? If I don't see where it's rubbed against another coconut, I'm not sure its maturity. Because if you go anywhere where coconuts grow, the wind rubs them against each other, and you can tell whether or not it's going to be sweet water or something in it. You can make those choices. The way they give them to you now, you can't make the choices. And they wrap everything in plastic. The waterways are blocked. Plastics have gone up into the air and destroyed the ozone layers. So now they want to sell you stuff to put on your skin to protect you against UV radiation. Now you had a car, the mayor in London now is deciding that you got to get a new car because of the pollution. Why is it that we haven't thought about who is it that decided that we needed to have so many cars and it had to be polluting when they knew that they had hydrogen wrinkle engines in the 60s that used water? That's what came out of the thing, water. That's what came out of the exhaust. Not carbon monoxide and methane and other distillates from petroleum. How much more are we going to allow because first of all, who does it benefit to have all of this plastic? What kind of mind decided that plastic is good for you when all of the studies that they have show that it's not? I'm going to read one little thing for you, all right? I've got a book here. It's called The Resurrection from Judgment to Post-Judgment. But this is quoting an article that came out in September the 30th, 1998, out of Ithaca, New York. A Cornell University analysis of population trends, climate change, and increasing pollution and emerging diseases, as published in the October 1998 Journal of Bioscience, points to one inescapable conclusion. life on Earth is killing us. 2023 now, right? That's a lot of years. Back then, they knew that. More and more of us are living in crowded urban ecosystems. If you check all of the major train stations, they're built high-rise buildings where, you can't put your foot out of your door and be in the grass anymore. So people are little cubicles. People don't have that freedom to get the air, to touch, to ground themselves on the earth, to grow a few vegetables or something. This is important. It said that more and more of us are living in crowded urban ecosystems that are ideal for the resurgence of old diseases and the development of new diseases, said Pimentel, lead author of the bioscience report titled Ecology of Increasing Disease, Population Growth, and Environmental Degradation. It says, each year, air pollutants adversely affect the health of 4 to 5 billion people worldwide. That was in 1998. An expanding world population is burning more fossil fuels, emitting more industrial chemicals, and driving more automobiles. The number of automobiles is increasing 3 times faster than the rate of the population growth. The global use of agricultural pesticides rose from 50 million kilograms a year in 1945 to fair population control policies combined with effective environmental management programs. Without international cooperatives, said, they predicted disease prevalence will continue its rapid rise throughout the world and will diminish the quality of life for all humans. Why am I bringing that point? There is a premeditated mindset to deliver us in an era where we are opposite nature. How many of you remember the COVID lockdown experience? All right, good. Did you notice how quiet it was in your neighborhoods? They had pictures showing you down in Wales where the sheep came off the meadows, was walking down the streets because there was none of us on the streets. What's that say? And people said the ones that had irritation of the lungs felt better inside the city. You saw that the earth has its own ability to recycle and clean things. It's a living, dynamic being that has its own way of cleaning things. And as soon as it was over, what happened? Pollution came right back. And now you have the mayor giving us a solution. But didn't COVID teach us a solution? We have to stop having polluting vehicles, period. Don't put them on the streets, and your health is better. You mean to tell me that they can't put your food in paper bags that can be recycled back to the earth? Must it always be plastic? And they said they was going to be all paper bags, and they reverted back to plastic. Because people like DuPont, the ones that came up with nylon, as a child, I grew up in the Caribbean in Bermuda. And it used to be an art form that they used to take hemp and make rope for the big boats, the cruise ships, the tugboats, and things like that. And they used to make this big bumper that goes on the bow, because if a tugboat is pushing out these big boats, it has to go up against it. So it's not steel against steel. So when they decided to make nylon, that took out a whole industry of people. That's happened in every area that they've put plastics. The plastics that they use on cars took out panel beaters that used to be able to take a piece of metal and fix your car. So today, after 50 years of working in construction field using plastics, steel, asbestos, all of those things, I now volunteer in an organic farm where I put my hands in the soil at least 2 or 3 days a week. I work with volunteers. And I also have a men's shed that I help out there with, because we've got to get back to a simpler lifestyle. Go back to an original lifestyle. And I was just talking to Robin, and he was telling me that his mother is past 90. And I said to him, my mother died when she was past 90. I said, my grandmother died when she was past 90, and my great-grandmother died past 90. Well, I've had one brother that died at 60. I got a sister that died at 68. You know, I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but anyway. What I'm saying, that's how this was. Anyway, I'm going to ask the thing to put up something short. What's his name? Raymond. Right, okay. Good, Raymond. Let's roll. All right. This is a poem, because if you're going to challenge, and I don't want you to support Just Against Oil and Extinction Rebellion. They're a bit, I'm into being an echo warrior, but that's not going to help you. That's just going to anger a lot of people that's got to get to work. But we've got to challenge those people that actually premeditated over all of these years, developed plastics from petroleum. What they had at that time was petroleum waste. They sent people to use their creative genius to find all of these things, not telling you how bad it was. Here is a poem. You can put the music to it. Let me do it like this. All right. Somebody said that it couldn't be done, but with a chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be one who wouldn't say so till he had tried. So he buckled right in with the trace of a grin on his face. If he worried, he hid it. He started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. You can do the next slide. Somebody scoffed, "Oh, you'll never do that. At least no one ever has done it." But he took off his coat and he took off his hat, and the first thing we knew, he had begun it. With a lift of his chin and a bit of a grin, without any doubting or quit it, he started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. There are thousands to tell you it cannot be done. There are thousands to prophesy failure. There are thousands to point out to you one by one the dangers that wait to assail you. But just buckle in with a bit of a grin on this environmental day, and you're dealing with plastics. Just take off your coat and go for it. I know it's summertime, so you don't have your coat on. It's all right. Just start to sing as you tackle the thing that cannot be done, and you'll do it. So we've got to find ways to make this work better. You know, we've got to look at it this way. Do you agree that we should be building houses on floodplains? Where are the urban planners that would allow people to take where a natural river, when you have excess rain, it puts people out on the floodplain? They will let you build, or they'll let you build right beside a river. And when you build beside the river, because every year you hear people that's in the foothills of the Pennines and so forth are complaining that the bridges got knocked out. Water's coming into the houses 1, 2, 3 years in a row. Who decided that it even made sense to allow somebody to build in places like that. Folks that wanted to make some money off some housing. They didn't care about your safety or your personal security, because a home is a real important item for people. That's where you feel secure. That's where you relax. That's where you enjoy your family. That somebody allows you to build in those types of areas. They know where the floodplains are, but why? Why would they do that to you? Why would they do that to you? So I want you to think about that and think about creative approaches. And I don't want you to view going up against multinational corporations that don't even respect national boundaries, where they are doing things. You know, can you see, British Petroleum is considered a British company, right? Do you know that the war in Ukraine is partially because the Russians took over the oil assets of British Petroleum in Russia? So they'll go in through Ukraine and put pressure to try and break down Russia so they can get back their oil. Do you remember when British Petroleum and a bunch of other oil consortiums spilt all of that oil in the Caribbean basin off of the southern states of America? They couldn't cap it. Oil was spilling. I don't know if any of you remember the Oxon Valdez off of Spain years ago, oil tankers spilling all that oil. I remember during the wars, but I can't remember during the wars, I wasn't born then. Later, we used to have calico clams in Bermuda. And what happened was they sunk a ship, the Germans sunk a ship in the channel, and the oil went on the bottom. And then debris comes down on top of it, and it killed all of the clams. So all of that particular part is barren. And it's been like that for 70 years now, plus. I want you to be able to see and understand the long problems. Look at the barrier reef. You're seeing all the coral going bad. How many of you seen pictures of turtles with their necks all choked up because of plastic? How many of you know that the fish you eat have been eating plastics and the little molecules of plastic are ingested by you? They'll find this stuff in the fetuses of women and into the children, your newborn children, plastics. It is imperative that we begin to make a pushback. And the pushback isn't just on a community level. We've got to change the mindsets. That's what I like about Peace Federation. They try to bring leaders together. It's those industrialists that we've got to get. The people that love to control, you know, the 5 or 10%, well, it might be less than 10%, maybe 2 or 3%, that want to control the resources of the entire earth. People that prophets Isaiah and Ezekiel talked about. The ones that sat on top of all of the minerals that's in the earth. And they were really important, genius people. They had good positions, but violence was found in them. And what that violence was something very easy. I guess my time's getting close because I see somebody in the corner of my eye coming up here. So I just wanted to say that the violence was they were getting goods from small people and paying a small price. And when they take it to the cities, they make a big price. When they could have made a smaller profit in trafficking the goods and services. Well, this is what's going on the earth. So I suggest you all start growing some vegetables, because what you got in the supermarkets is not going to sustain you. I mean, if you don't want to live a long life, that's fine. But if you want to live a long life, then grow your vegetables and your fruits and develop social relationships that give you positivity in your lives, and get away from negativity. because those things help to improve and give more peace to people. With that, I thank you for the privilege of being able to speak before you. Good. Robin, back to you.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Raymond, thank you.
You can feel the passion. Right? So we'll have a time for Q&A, but because we want to have a discussion. But so next, I want to invite Dr. Yehoeshahfaht Ben Israel. He spoke on Africa Day as well. And anyway, he's a good friend of ours for a long time now. And such an eloquent person, such an articulate person and good speaker. So we're very, very happy for him to come. But he's a media advisor, academic, researcher, and so on. Well, we met through Institute of Cultural Diplomacy. And as soon as I talked about having an event with Mark Domfried, who's the founder of ICD, he said, why don't you invite Yehoeshahfaht to speak? So we did. So please come. I think you're also going to speak from a faith perspective, aren't you? Which is great.
Thank you very much. Raymond? Just bear with me as we get some technical things put in. Thank you for coming. Just go up like this.
Yeah, probably either down or right.
Okay, cool. Okay, first, again, thank you, Robin, and the UPF for this great invitation. As always, I'm always thankful and I'm always grateful to the Almighty Creator of the heavens and earth for the primary reason of just allowing me to live just one more day. We take it one day at a time because you really don't have, with everything that's upon the face of the earth, the gift of life. The gift of life comes from another source. No man, woman, or child has control or monopoly over the gift of life, which also means that if you are given the gift or the blessing of life, you must cherish and appreciate it to use it for the essence to which you've been allowed to live. Not everybody woke up today. Even as we are speaking right now, as you're taking a breath of air in, someone is taking their last breath. So we've always got to go back to those essential things that allow us to be who we are. Again, I'd like to greet each and every one of you in eternal peace and everlasting love. In the short time that I have, I would like to plant some seeds, some things for us to consider. Definitely the subject matter is vast, world environment, and I love the operative word day. World environment, but I love the operative word day. And by the time we finish this discussion, we actually should be thinking about world environment year, decade, century, millennium, because the earth and the environment is the platform for our existence. Without the earth and the environment, our existence is of none effect. I do understand that they're making the thrust to live on Mars, etc. But again, we are going to try to unpackage the science in the short time for World Environment Day. So, bear with me more. So again, we would start with this. In 2023, the subject matter is plastic. This is 2023. And I'd like you to stay with me because as we unpackage this, you'll understand why we have to broaden the perspective of what we're into. And it's said over 400 million tons of plastic is produced every year, an estimated and of what, 19 to 23 million tons end up in lakes, rivers, and seas annually, which is the weight of 2,200 Eiffel Towers every year, consistently, legally. I just wanted to put that on your mind as we, on the 5th, it was supposed to be the 5th of the 6th month, we are being told to pay attention or be aware of plastic as an urgency. And this is the backdrop. This is the backdrop that we're up against. Now, they also now have realized the essence of microplastics. And I'd like you to see that our planet consumes more than 50,000 plastic particles per year. And most of it is via inhalation. I really would just like you to stay with that, because you know that in a lot of the offices in the West, you're not even allowed to smoke in the office. So if you're not allowed to smoke, which is a form of inhalation, nobody is talking about the inhalation which is coming via plastics. Again, stay with me. And finally, the sweetener. That science, with available science and solutions to tackle the problems, governments, companies, and other stakeholders must scale up and speed actions to solve this crisis. This underscores the importance of this World Environment Day. So here we are now in 2023, and plastic comes onto the forefront on a day. 2,200 Eiffel Towers, and a substance that is transmitted also via inhalation. You are not even allowed to smoke in an office, but this is a substance that is transmitted via inhalation. So, let's go back to see some of these other things which have come up on the Environment Day. Because when we go to the backdrop, it may necessitate another kind of thinking, which each and every one of us needs to get involved around. And why I am expanding the understanding of this is that each item in the environment poses as an existential threat to your ability to live on this planet. Each item which affects the environment also poses an existential threat to your existence or your well-being of life. So as we go along, let's look at some of the themes. Since this started in 1972, we'll go quickly through because it's limited time, but I said I'm sowing seeds. So we look at this. Look at this, some of the themes that have been discussed. I like 1999. Our Earth, our future. Just save it. 1999. 2002. Give Earth a chance. 2010, many species, one planet, one future. And finally, beat plastic pollution, 2018, beat air pollution, 2019, time for nature, 2020, ecosystem restoration, 2021, only one Earth, 2022, and finally, solutions to plastic pollution. since 1972. So, would it be fair for me to pose the paradigm? That is there a need for another perspective in regards to the environment? Because we see all these things are just being discussed on a conference level, on a day level, things which pose an existential threat to our ability to live. Maybe prior to you coming over, you did not realize that the urgency or the impact of plastic could also be transmitted via inhalation. Maybe you just thought it was just something that seeped into the water. But now you know it's as threatening as the cigarette that someone smokes. But there are laws against smoking, but there are not laws against plastic that can be transmitted via inhalation. So let's go back and plant a seed. See, via language, there are certain concepts that allow for the preservation or the restoration of the environment. Language comes through a people's ability to cognitively think about their existence and craft a cultural methodology of how they would stay in harmony with that. Unfortunately, the language of business today, quote unquote English, sometimes is insensitive to environmental issues. What do I mean? Let's take Hebrew. And I'll only take Hebrew, not because everybody speaks Hebrew, but I want to tie it to this. And I'm going to take you out of your comfort zone because a lot of those who sit, or a lot of the world, is still predominantly immersed by what you call Abrahamic spiritual concepts, whether it's Judaism, Islam, or Christianity, all coming from the source. So, if you want to destroy any species, it is known, if you want to destroy any species, the first thing you do is to destroy the ecology upon which that species depends on to survive. Let me say that again. If you want to destroy any species, all you have to do is to destroy the ecology upon which the species survives. So, let's deal with some things which we can tie in now. The species being destroyed. You find plastic in water and it doesn't affect you because our cognitive preparation or our education doesn't make us sensitive that we are inextricably tied in to the environment. How are we tied in to the environment? Because unless you are given a mindset which makes you sensitive that you and the environment are interlinked, you would feel that the environment is something which is very insensitive, it's just earth, and you are dominant. But that's the fallacy. Each one in this room is at least 75 to 80% water. Water. Even at the time of one's death, scientifically, the body still holds about 56% water. So what does that say about our environment? It means the preeminent concerns of our existence in the environment means we have to protect what? The water sources. Everyone breathes. So it means anyone who affects the air we breathe is a threat to our existence. So, in building up the case for World Environment Day, we go into Hebrew. And Hebrew is so significant in the thought. When we read in the first book that man was formed from the dust of the earth, that is very incorrect. See, when you translate any language into another language, many times you lose the essential thought of the original language which can't be transmitted into the next language. The Hebrew text has been translated from Hebrew to Greek to Latin, and then to English. By the time you get to English, the original idea, which is tied into the environment, has been lost. So let's go back to Hebrew. In Hebrew, it's not that man was formed from the dust of the earth. It is man was formed from the minerals of the earth, afar. Not dust. Dust makes it seem like it's just some dust. I'm dusty. But when you say minerals, it brings a scientific component of the environment into man, which means that everything that is in the earth is also in man, in some calibrated form. There is gold in man. There is iron in man. You need iron in man. You just need it in an organic form. Otherwise, you become anemic. There's calcium in man. There are even radioactive elements in man because you were formed from the dust, from the minerals of the earth, the environment. So if you pollute the earth, you are also putting yourself in a position to threaten your existence. But that's not all. Even before we come to plastic. So we take the word Adam. Adam. And you feel that Adam, that's a name. But that's a Hebrew concept. Adam is not just a name. That's a Hebrew concept. It's a Hebrew concept of one who is made from the source, the earth. So Hebrew, the word Adam, comes from the root word Adamah. Adamah means of the earth. And from the same word, you have dam, which means blood, because blood is nothing but liquefied minerals of the earth. Are we all settled so far? Now you see it's more than just an environment, because you are inextricably, your life support system is inextricably tied in to your sensitivity of your environment and how you manage it. If you don't manage it well, you shorten or threaten your ability to thrive, breathe, and exist. And if you manage it well, you extend your ability to live. And now it gets exciting, because now we're dealing with language and culture. And if we're dealing with language and culture, then the Hebrews were told, never make the Creator as a graven image, because the creative force is not a form. They would say it's a spirit, or they'll say it's energy. And all of you know, energy cannot be destroyed. Each one of you here are clothed in flesh, but you're more than flesh. You're spirit, you're energy. And if you leave this existence, this body will be put in the earth, but you're not there. So Robin preempted this for the World Environment Day because he read from this good book. I'm so excited about it. But I want to read something else to you. And I'm going to read from this book called The Quest for the Secret Force of the Universe. Because I want to take the creative source out of religion and put it back in the ecology of human existence. The creative source, God, Allah, is more than the mosque or the church or the synagogue. This is the source that governs all the universe, whether you believe in or not. And the application of the guidelines of this force was more than just praying. It was being in harmony for the guidelines that it had given for your existence. And all of you know this, as I'm close to coming to my end. Nobody knows this is a Samsung phone. And I'm just doing this, Robin, because in Germany, Germans challenge you. When I talk about God, they say, well, how do you know that God exists? So this is a Samsung phone, World Environment Day. Well, I don't know Samsung. I've never seen Samsung. I don't know his family. I don't know what car he lives in. But I am able to attest to the mind of Samsung based on what he has produced. So whether I know Samsung or not, what he has produced, Auntie Margaret, is a testimony of the mind of Samsung. Would we all agree with that? And if I want this phone to work in harmony well, I have to obey what? The guidelines that Samsung, who I don't know, has given me to make this phone work. But I've never seen Samsung before. But that still does not invalidate. If this phone has got to work, whatever guidelines Samsung gave me, if I don't keep to those guidelines, this phone won't work. Well, then we can come back to where we are in World Environment Day. I'm not going to say I'm that spiritual that I've seen God. But I know that there's a greater source that exists because the testimony is all around us. None of you have seen the hair on top of your head, have you? With your eyes. But you know you got hair on top of your head. Some of us. You see the leaves. You see the water. You see the earth. And what happened? All primordial societies knew the existence of the creative force in the creation. That was not mythical. Until a gentleman called Newton came on the scene. And Newtonian science began to separate all the ecology and compartmentalize it as individual things not connected. And once that perception came, we became insensitive to our connection to the environment which supported our ecology. So as we go to the end, because I said I just wanted to leave some thoughts in your mind. The great brother Moses, when he brought the children of Israel out of Egypt, another culture, he was making them sensitive to the environment. There were laws which governed the environment. Even when they went to war, they just couldn't attend to the call of nature and leave it all in that. Cleanliness was part of the environment. But he also gave them a key law, which is expanded in more ways than one. What was the key law for another perspective? And I know you've heard it so many times, but you've never heard it in the Hebrew thought because the scriptures is not a religious book. It is also science at the highest level. What you read in that book is also science at the highest level, and you will notice that many great scientists have taken their inspiration from reading that book. That's different from going to church. So let me drop you with this one. I'm trying to be as controversial as possible because we've got plastic. It says, honor thy father and thy mother. Now, in the translation it said, so that thy days would be long upon the earth which the Lord giveth you. Is that right? That's not a religious statement. Let me give you the Hebrew for World Environment Day. It says honor. Honor. Key word. No, not disgrace. Honor. Not desecrate. Honor thy father and thy mother, that they, thy father and thy mother, may prolong your days upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Now, how does this tie into this? I must be crazy. How does this tie into this? First, thy father, the seed that brings life into existence, the creator. You honor the truth of the creator, that creative seed. Like I said with Samson, when Samson produces the phone, he has a principle, which is a seed upon which this phone functions. And if you don't use the thought or the seed, the phone fails to function. The creator also has principles which govern life, truths. And if you honor them and you do not desecrate them, those truths become the life-protecting principles or values that maintain you. What about the mother? The mother is the Mother Earth. The synthesis of truth, the universal principles, and the earth working in harmony enhances life. And if you pay particular attention to both of them, the mind that would have created plastic would not have created plastic in the first place. Because plastic, in whatever utilitarian form it is a desecration to the mother. So in closing, just dropping some thoughts. I like to read something in this book. As people who don't believe in religion are searching for the source of the creation. And the creation it's awesome, Sheikh. In fact, when you think about the creation, it's awesome. This World Environment Day is a microcosm of the creation. Let me just stimulate you with the creation. The furthest galaxy from this earth, the furthest galaxy from this earth is 28 billion light years away. The furthest galaxy from this earth is 28 billion light years away. You can't even calculate that on your little calculator. Because a light second is 186,000 miles. Now put it into billions. That's the great expanse of the source that brought us into existence. So in closing, let's read this. And it reads on this wise. It says, most fundamentally, the scientists had provided evidence that all of us connect, and this is where, Robin, where you shared. He said that all of us connect with each other and the world at the very undercoat of our being. All of us. When Robin breathes out, whatever Robin breathes in, it goes into his body, it interacts with his DNA and his cells, and when he breathes it out, you breathe it in. So you breathe part of Robin into you. As we are sitting in this room, each of us has breathed somebody's cellular makeup into our existence. Let's go on. I'm coming to the end. I know I'm getting a little boring, but it's okay. It says, through scientific experiments, the scientists demonstrated that there may be such a thing as a life force flowing through the universe. Did you talk about nature? Yes. Said there may be such a thing, the scientists, as a life force, not a death force, a life force flowing through the universe. It goes on. It says, which has variously been called by the scientists collective consciousness, or as theologians will term it, the Holy Spirit. This is not a religious book. But even the scientists acknowledge that there's a mind greater than you and I that exists. So as we come to World Environment Day, we've got to think with another paradigm. And we've got to go back to the source and begin to investigate the source. What did it place that will cause us to be able to prolong our life upon the earth which the source had given us? And if we desecrate it, then these will become essential. But if we don't, these will not even become a matter of our existence. Thank you ever so much.
Wasn't that powerful? So I always found Environment Day to be a very spiritual day, a day when people are thinking about other levels of consciousness. And as I said in the very beginning, you can't solve the problem on the same level of consciousness that it was created. So there is some aspect of teaching, of thinking, of reflection, and there's some aspect of campaigning, of advocacy, of trying to make a difference in many different ways. So it's quite an amazing time, but quite an amazing anniversary, should I say, to keep on commemorating, to keep on thinking about. And it's, when I look at you here in the room, I know a number of you and your mind and your mindset, and I can see how it attracts you. So with that, I'd like to have short contributions from people, both online, for people, as I've said. If anyone wants to speak online, you have to turn your camera on and then tell me in the chat. Okay. And also in the audience. So, Ahmed, you've been...
My name is Ahmed Shaybani from Libya. I would like to pay respect for the role that you take looking after your mom at this frail age. I try to do my best. My mom is 75. Sadly, she has dementia. And it's very hard when she doesn't recognize me. But I'm at ease because recently my local priest has told me that the memory of the heart is 7 times more superior than the memory of the brain. So it gave me a lot of comfort. My question is, so far as what I read 48 hours ago at a quality paper, The Guardian, regarding the American intelligence official who has confirmed the existence of UFO instrumentation left behind. And today, America has asked members of the public not to venture out because the air quality is very bad in New York. So this makes me feel very alarmed, as today is the Environment Day, when somebody from the British establishment said to me, this is just the beginning, because the next phase, civilian airlines will be brought down, and the reason will be a collision with UFOs. How can you explain this threat to us? Thank you.
Could you pass to Michelle? I think you're next. I'm just going to take a few comments and...
Hello. Long time.
Long time, Michelle. Thank you so much.
Okay, just a couple of things that came to mind. That saying is that you can't change...
You can't solve a problem
You
on the
can't
same
solve
level
a
of
problem.
consciousness
Do you
that was
know
created.
do you know who said that?
Is that Einstein?
Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
That's correct, Albert Einstein. And interestingly, since we're all connected to the consciousness and the cosmos, I had an interesting experience when I was going to sleep last night, and I actually had a conversation with Albert Einstein. And the thing is, you should check something called the Rykov effect. But all those people, all those geniuses and brilliant minds they're still here, and you can communicate with them, and you can bring through that knowledge and take it further. So I just wanted to say it, because it was a surprise. And I just remembered it when you said that phrase, when you made that quote. And the other thing was that there's a lady in Israel who is a scientist, and you might know this, she's created a bacteria which eats plastic. So actually, we have all these problems, but we also have the solutions. They just need to be more visible, and they just need to be implemented. And the third thing is, and I wish I'd have brought the whole thing to read you, but I wrote a poem recently. It's been published online, and it's about recycling. It's called the Reduce, Reuse, Recycle, Upcycle, and Repurpose poem. And it came about when I was working in a charity shop, just volunteering half a day a week, and I was absolutely, I can say a little bit of it if you want later, was absolutely traumatized by the amount of stuff that went into the bin, that went into landfill. And I was so angry that this poem came out, and it got published on World Poetry Day. And it's, yes, if you go Google in World Poetry Day under my nom de plume, which is Belgenet, B-E-L-L with an E at the end, G-E-N-E, Belgenet, the poem is there. But I'd be happy to, if you want a bit later, just to give you a little snippet of it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other comments? Can I have the gentleman in the back and just at the back corner? Thank you. Could you introduce yourself as well, please?
Yeah, I'm Tim Sapuco from the Filipino community, from the Kadiwa Center, a friend of Amy.
Hello, Amy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned a lot, yeah, especially with the Reverend from Israel. With his presentation, I'd like to say ecology, not ecology, but ecology, because he was referring to our relations with the ecology. See, I think it could be ecology instead of ecology as far as the presentation is concerned. But I'd like to follow up. It is a very recent, and I think this is attracting the world community in terms of the UAP. Because 15 years that guy working with the defense, his name is Grosh. Yeah? And actually he exposed the presence of UAP. And we know this has been happening since in 1947, we know the Roswell case in New Mexico. But this had been, shall we call it, been covered up?
They hide it.
Yeah, that's why we seem not to know, we seem to be confused about it. But in line again with the Reverend, we know that the book of Enoch, I think, Enoch, he was referring actually to this subject, yeah. So I think this is a very good issue in terms of, okay, we're talking about environment. How this UAP, because they say this UAP actually, we could see them so around this the nuclear plant, yeah. Nuclear installations. Even I think in England, one guy, Pope, his name is Pope, yeah. He also mentioned about an incident in one of the bases here, wherein these UAPs actually were seen. Now the main question now is actually, as we talk, I mean, our environment, how can we actually, relate this issue to this UAP? And that's fun. The other one is, he mentioned this one started in 1972, and now this is 51 years.
I remember reading things in the 70s. They used to call them doomsayers or doomsaying environmentalists.
Yeah, so from 1972...
we're 50 years on.
It's 50 years on, and can we make the difference? What's needed? And this is a very important subject.
Sure.
I mean, I learned it because, like I said, instead of ecology, because it's true.
Yeah.
But
thank you very much. Could we,
thank you.
I'd just like to get a number of points from different people, but thank you very much. Thank you. Look, it's a good topic. Reverend Dr. Sumanasiri, would you like to stand up?
Yeah, I had not expected to see the speakers today, but I'm surprised because I sat down this morning and thought I should contribute something today. It's a very interesting news I bring to you. It's from Uganda. We have a Buddhist monk, first time joining our system as an Asian Buddhist monk-like, and he has started a peace school. And he says the peace school is a collective expertise for children to be shared with the passion of a holistic and moral kind of education. And the goal is to provoke a learning environment, not just mere environment, that nourishes three kinds of H, four actually, heads, hands, heart, and happiness. Imagine. And also on compassion, love, mindfulness, and mindfulness as a meditation, as a transformative force to bring in that kind of an environment. You know, Uganda had war with Rwanda for years, and he's invited me, not only as a Buddhist monk, but somebody trained from Oxford in Christian theology, to come and speak in the churches there. So I'm glad to hear that our colored friends today spoke on those themes. And this monk, the first Buddhist monk in the African continent. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. And Fortini, and then Chris.
Thank you. Just to say about Dr. Also, just before I will say what I want to say, I want to present you Dr. Sumanasiri. He has 4 PhDs. It's really amazing, really amazing.
And he's walked the Great Wall of China as well.
For courageous, yes, yes. So my name is Fortini Godella, and I'm dealing with the cosmic law and cosmology and the cosmic, everything dealing with the cosmic energy and consciousness. So what I would like to say, just a few words, is that today it's the Day of Environment. Planet Earth, why we came to the planet Earth, why I came to the planet Earth, why you have been born. There is only one answer: to be happy. Happiness is what we came here. So our target, our scope is happiness. What can I do today to be more happy after 1 hour and tomorrow? Environment, which we say today, peace, harmony, health, security, all of these are tools or just the conditions to be what? To be happy. And this is the responsibility. If we can understand this, how I can do happy, how can I be happy, and the responsibility for my happiness, and the responsibility how can I affect your happiness in negative or positive way, it's already raised up the awareness. Another thing very important to say, when we are on the traffic driving, we know that if we don't know the rules, traffic rules, we will create a conflict, we will create an accident. So the planet Earth and the universe generally is actually worked on the universal law. So if we want to be in peace, in harmony, in happiness, without no conflict, we need to know universal law, which are a law of attraction, law of reaction, law of action, law of preserved energies, many, many laws. So we need to learn this. If we will learn this, we will understand how to move between us without conflict and to undertake responsibility. This is very much important. This is the way actually to increase the awareness, which you also mentioned, and also the unity which other speakers mentioned with the planet Earth. Remember, we are here to be happy, to create happiness and to create actually with our Creator, to be co-creative. This is very much important, this responsibility, etc. So thank you so much, just in a few words. Thank you.
We'll go to Chris.
Hello. Yeah, my name's Christopher George. I used to work at the biggest, reinsurance broker in the world, managing the biggest natural disasters on the planet for oil, gas, and mining companies. The BP tanker disaster in Louisiana, the Exxon Valdez, the Kuwait war fires, you name it. And 25 years ago, I was very frustrated that it's how reactive companies are to natural disasters. And I studied all the catastrophe disaster modeling for all the biggest cities in the world. And this was all mapped out 25, 30 years ago. I mean, Wall Street is on a road called Water Street. There's a reason why it's called Water Street, because the water actually comes up to street level. It wouldn't take much of a hurricane or disaster to flood all Wall Street. That was predicted 25 years ago. When Hurricane Sandy hit New Jersey and New York was totally unprepared, even though they'd had the plans, the predictions 25 years in advance. I sit on quite a few panels and talks in Miami on climate change, and one of the conclusions that came out of one of the conferences was that the only time corporations will take climate change seriously is when it hits them in their bottom line. And so corporations need to, the insurance, reinsurance industries should not just be reactive, just pay losses, but they should also be helping to fund projects and also the new technologies, which already exist actually. They've been around for a long time, but people are just not using them. They should actually put clauses in that after a loss, when they give you the money, you should use the new, all the new technologies for saving energy and insulating your house and stuff. It's not being done. So it is actually happening now that insurance and reinsurance companies are feeling the hit, even bigger than ever before because of climate change. It's just a shame that it's taken so long for them to get around to taking more preventive measures. And it's a bit like the medical system. Prevention's better than cure. That the big financial entities can do a lot to help combat climate change. And doctors, also, preventive medicine is much better than dealing with the problem afterwards. That's my take.
Thank you. I just wanted to go to someone online, and then, actually I promised Sheikh, and then Nisa.
Online now.
Yes, so Lance, can you unmute yourself? Online first, then Sheikh Ramsey. So Lance, can we hear? Sorry, we can't hear you yet.
We cannot hear you well.
Can you hear now?
Yes, it's good.
It was very interesting to hear the speaker just now mention about companies only really reacting when it affects their bottom line. However, I work in financial technology, and I'm aware that there is actually a huge flow of investment funds into into sustainable investment products. So that's a huge investing trend that is growing every year, and there's a whole industry dedicated to evaluating sustainability and the so-called environmental, societal, and governance benefits that each company provides. So there's a whole kind of ratings industry that evaluates companies according to these criteria, and funds are getting invested in the companies who score more highly, and particularly the younger generation who are aware of climate change to perhaps a greater extent, and other environmental concerns. They are directing their investment funds to this purpose. But it is quite a political hot potato, particularly in the United States, where there's a lot of climate change denial, and there are bans on this type of investing by certain states and treasuries, etc. So I'd just like to point out that the business world is going in this direction, and realizing the importance of net zero initiatives and working to ameliorate climate change and other environmental issues.
To speak up for business, because business is a function, right? It can be used in different ways. It can be used in very constructive ways, and according to the consciousness of the people working in the business. So can we next go to Sheikh Ramzi? Yes. We've got a bit of an echo. Is that?
I don't need this. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin. I don't want to say just 1 or 2 minutes. 2 minutes if you give me. I would like to say, and I would like to criticize what they're saying and what we're doing really. One is Day of Environment. I'm totally against the Day of Environment. Everyone say, why? Why are you totally against the Day of Environment? It is because every day should be a Day of Environment. We marginalize it. We marginalize it with the day. I want to do that for environment. No, go in that day. Go in that day. This is wrong. Every day we're destroying. We have to respect our environment. We live in there. It is very important, very important. Every day of us should be environment, not marginalizing. One. The second one, I was talking about the plastic. I found a lot of disgrace, like myself. We should respect the plastic. Respect the plastic because it's serving us. I tell you why. My hat, 75% plastic. My shirt, plastic. My jacket, 25% plastic. The scarf, all plastic. My belt of trousers, plastic. My trousers, plastic. My shoes, even plastic. All of you got the plastic on you. Therefore, we respected what the God gave us. But what we do, we excess it. We excessively damage it, disrespect it, and do so much to it, which it become a monster to us. That's what we are trying, that's what we are doing. It's a monster. We made it, it's serving us. Without that, I'm naked. Isn't it? Without that, I'm naked. Therefore, we have to respect it, what we need to do. Excess, too much of excess is wrong. I was researching in Oxford. I'm living in Oxford, of course, Oxford University and whatever. We were surveying what we do with the plastic. A decade of plastic in Oxford, he can fool the moon. That's what we have to do. That's what we have to respect it, and use it wisely. Otherwise, without that, we are naked. God bless you all. Thank you.
Can I have the... Who is next? Oh, Nisa.
It's a very dangerous world that we are living in, seeming to be heading towards disaster. Somebody mentioned here that in New York, they prohibited people coming out because of the pollution. I was just wondering, because the COVID-19 has got to do with the inhalation of plastic, and how long have we been inhaling plastic and still alive? So the solution actually is very contradictory in the two speakers, scientifically, and also, friend here, very contrasting views. So that's actually another problem. What is the problem really? Is it plastic problem or is it not plastic problem? And has it got to do with the viruses now? There are so many viruses in London, Paris, New York, Berlin, so many viruses around the world now. Because we are interconnected world, so we affect each other. by inhaling or by environmentally, you know. So environmentally, we are living in a dangerously polluted world, and I don't know what the answer is. There's so many scientists here, speakers, they might actually have the solution. It occurs to me that the COVID-19 could be connected with the environmental thing and not the Wuhan, the marketplace where it originated. It didn't originate there. American scientists have proved beyond doubt that COVID-19 did not originate in China. It was actually patented in 2007 in a Californian laboratory. So this is another subject, and it's a very vast subject. I have to study myself, to find out the truth. Thank you very much.
Thank you. What I want to say is actually there's a lot of thoughts and ideas here, which I don't think we need to talk publicly from the stage about. I think it's something we can research on ourselves, or if someone wants to talk to someone afterwards, please do. But I think it's very good that you could express and that we could reflect on all of these points. There are many excellent points raised. A number of years ago, cigarette smoking was something which was seen as very cool. And particularly, I know my dad was in the Navy, he used to get free cigarettes until he stopped being in the Navy, he stopped. We didn't know that it was such a terrible thing for our health. We had no idea. There are many other things happening. People have talked about mobile phones. We were talking about Samsung, right? There have been so much research about mobile phones and cancer. There are things which we will only know in time. I think St. Paul said something about that. We see things maybe not so clearly at the moment, but we'll see them more clearly later. So with all these things, I think we need patience, reflection, an open mind, and respect for other people's views, because it might be something you don't believe in, but respect each person's views. As we said at the very beginning, we won't solve the problems on the same level of consciousness as they were created. So when the dam was broken in is it Nova Kahova? Sorry, I've got the pronunciation wrong. Just a few days ago. In a sense, we don't know how it happened, but we know that we won't solve these problems on the same level of consciousness that they were created. So we need to raise our level of consciousness. Thank you so much, everyone. With that, I'm going to finish. You're free to network, to talk to each other, and greet each other. It's great to see old friends, some who haven't come for a long time. I'm very happy you could come today. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.